Ladies and gentlemen, there is no prison more destructive than the prison of an undisciplined mind. And there is no freedom more powerful than the freedom of a mind that has been trained, tamed, and disciplined to obey purpose. The greatest battle is in the mind because every choice, every decision, and every direction of life begins within the invisible space of our thoughts. Before a person fails on the outside, they have already lost the fight inside. Before anyone achieves greatness in the physical world, they first conquer the resistance within their own thinking. The human mind is a battlefield where fear and faith, doubt and confidence, laziness and discipline, weakness and strength are constantly at war. This is why many people are defeated even before they take their first step, not because life denied them the opportunity, but because their own thinking convinced them that they were not capable of achieving what they were created to do. The mind is the gatekeeper of destiny, and if it is not guarded, directed, and disciplined, it will allow destructive thoughts to dominate and eventually shape the course of one's life. When you understand that the mind is the battlefield, you begin to see why people with equal talent and equal opportunity end up with completely different outcomes. One may rise to success while the other falls into mediocrity, not because of outside forces, but because of the unseen fight inside their heads. If the mind is filled with fear, it will produce hesitation. If the mind is dominated by doubt, it will produce failure. If the mind entertains excuses, it will justify stagnation. But if the mind is strengthened with discipline, faith, and focus, it will produce courage, persistence, and vision. This is the power of mental battles, and the victories you secure in your thoughts are the foundation of every victory you will ever experience in the physical world. Many people think their challenges are external. They blame the economy, their background, their lack of connections, or the resistance of others. While these may be real obstacles, the truth is that the greatest barrier is not outside, but inside. A mind that is defeated cannot recognize opportunity even when it is staring directly at it. A mind clouded with negativity cannot see solutions. It only magnifies problems. On the other hand, a disciplined mind transforms problems into possibilities and setbacks into setups for comebacks. This is why two people can face the same storm. One collapses while the other grows stronger. The difference lies not in the storm, but in the strength of the mind that confronts it. The greatest battle is in the mind, because the mind controls every other area of life. Your words are shaped by your thoughts. Your habits are fueled by your thoughts. Your character is built on the consistency of your thoughts. Even your emotions follow the patterns of your thinking. A mind without discipline allows anger, fear, jealousy, and worry to dictate life. But a mind that has been conquered through discipline chooses peace, persistence, patience, and purpose. The undisciplined mind is like an open city with no walls. Anything can come in, anything can influence it, and anything can dominate it. But the disciplined mind is like a fortified city, protected, focused, and directed toward what truly matters. Understanding that the greatest battle is in the mind should awaken you to the urgency of training it daily. Just as soldiers cannot win wars without preparation, you cannot win in life without preparing your thoughts for victory. Every day presents opportunities and challenges, but how you respond to them depends on what you have allowed to dominate your thinking. If your mind is filled with excuses, you will surrender. If your mind is filled with determination, you will push through. The victory you desire begins long before you see results. It begins the moment you choose to think differently, to guard your mind, and to force it into alignment with your purpose. The real war is not against the outside world. It is against the inner world that shapes the lens through which you see everything else. An undisciplined mind leads to a chaotic life, because the way you think determines the structure, direction, and quality of your daily decisions. When your thoughts are scattered, untrained, and uncontrolled, everything around you begins to reflect that disorder. The mind is the command center of human existence, and if the command center is unstable, then every instruction it sends to your actions will create instability in your life. Many people struggle not because they lack ability or opportunity, but because they have allowed their minds to drift without guidance, chasing every distraction and entertaining every thought without discipline. The result is confusion, inconsistency, and a life that lacks balance. A chaotic life is rarely the product of one big mistake. It is usually the outcome of small, repeated lapses of mental discipline. A person who cannot control their thoughts will eventually find it difficult to control their emotions, and once emotions take over, decisions become reckless. Instead of choosing based on wisdom and purpose, they choose based on feelings and impulses. Such choices lead to broken relationships, financial troubles, wasted opportunities, and a constant sense of regret. This is the cycle of chaos that begins in the mind. When the mind is not disciplined to filter out negativity, fear, and harmful desires, those very things take root and produce outcomes that destabilize life. An undisciplined mind does not know how to focus. It jumps from one idea to another, starting things but never finishing them, getting excited about possibilities, but never sustaining the energy to follow through. This lack of focus creates inconsistency, and inconsistency is one of the major causes of failure. A person may dream big, but without disciplined focus, those dreams remain scattered thoughts that never manifest into reality. The undisciplined mind also struggles with procrastination because it lacks the mental strength to prioritize what is important over what is easy or comfortable. And when procrastination becomes a habit, opportunities slip away, leaving behind frustration and a sense of wasted potential. Chaos also enters life through the influence of external distractions that an undisciplined mind cannot resist. Social media, toxic conversations, unnecessary conflicts, and endless entertainment consume the energy and time that should be devoted to growth and purpose. Without discipline, the mind is like an open door to anything and everything. Negative people plant seeds of doubt, harmful environments shape behavior, and fleeting pleasures dominate decisions. Over time, these influences compound and create a lifestyle filled with confusion and instability. The person finds themselves always busy, but never productive, always moving but never progressing. Another dimension of a chaotic life born from an undisciplined mind is the inability to control emotions. Anger, fear, jealousy, and worry dominate because the mind has not been trained to think differently. An undisciplined mind reacts impulsively instead of responding wisely. Words are spoken in anger that cannot be taken back. Decisions are made in fear that limit potential. And actions are taken in haste that bring long-term consequences. These emotional outbursts create fractured relationships, lost opportunities, and a lack of peace. The constant turmoil within reflects outwardly, producing a lifestyle where everything feels unstable and unpredictable. A disciplined mind, in contrast, acts like a compass that keeps life aligned with direction and order. But when discipline is absent, chaos reigns. Think of a ship without a rudder. It is at the mercy of every wave and wind, drifting aimlessly without control. That is exactly how life becomes when the mind is left ungoverned. The person is tossed by every circumstance, controlled by the environment rather than controlling it. Instead of shaping their destiny, they are shaped by the pressures around them. Instead of living with intention, they live in reaction. And when reaction becomes the default mode of life, chaos becomes the natural outcome. This is why mastering the mind is so critical. A chaotic life does not start with circumstances. It starts with uncontrolled thinking. If the mind is disciplined, even storms can be navigated with clarity. But if the mind is undisciplined, even blessings can be mismanaged and turned into burdens. The order or disorder of life will always mirror the order or disorder of the mind. Discipline separates achievers from dreamers, because desire alone has never built anything, but consistent action fueled by self-control has created every success story in history. Dreaming is easy. It requires no effort to imagine a better future, to visualize wealth, success, or greatness. But turning those dreams into reality demands the strength to control yourself, to train your habits, and to stay committed long after the excitement has faded. Achievers are not necessarily smarter, more talented, or luckier than dreamers. The difference is that achievers force themselves to do what is necessary whether they feel like it or not, while dreamers wait for inspiration, motivation, or the perfect conditions that never arrive. Discipline is the bridge that connects intentions to accomplishments. Without it, dreams remain trapped in the imagination, and good intentions fade into regret. A dreamer may talk about goals, may get excited about new opportunities, may even start working on them, but without discipline they will stop when the process becomes uncomfortable or demanding. Achievers, however, keep moving forward even when tired, even when discouraged, and even when results are delayed. They understand that consistency multiplies small efforts into great results. Discipline trains them to wake up when others sleep, to study when others waste time, to save when others spend carelessly, and to persist when others quit. Another difference lies in how achievers and dreamers handle distractions. Dreamers are easily swayed by the noise of life. They allow entertainment, excuses, and the opinions of others to pull them away from their vision. Their dreams compete with too many other desires, and without discipline to filter distractions, they lose focus and never gain momentum. Achievers, on the other hand, cut off anything that threatens their progress. They understand that saying yes to their vision requires saying no to many other things. Discipline gives them the courage to sacrifice temporary pleasures for long-term rewards. This ability to focus, to stay committed, and to protect their time is what converts their dreams into tangible results. Discipline also defines how people respond to challenges. Dreamers often imagine a smooth journey toward success, but the moment obstacles arise, they lose motivation and retreat. They see difficulties as signs to quit rather than opportunities to grow. Achievers, however, expect resistance and prepare their minds to endure. Discipline gives them resilience, the capacity to keep working through difficulties, to keep trying new approaches, and to learn from failure without giving up. This ability to stay steady under pressure is what pushes them beyond where dreamers usually stop. Furthermore, discipline governs daily habits, and habits build the future. Dreamers live on excitement, making decisions based on feelings. One day they are motivated, the next day they are distracted, and the inconsistency prevents progress. Achievers rely on discipline rather than emotion. They create routines that align with their goals and stick to them regardless of mood. They know that small, consistent steps produce big achievements over time. While dreamers chase sudden breakthroughs, achievers invest in steady progress, and discipline sustains that progress until the results are undeniable. Ultimately, everyone has dreams, but only those who master discipline see them fulfilled. Discipline is the line that divides potential from reality, wishes from accomplishments, and talk from action. The world is filled with dreamers who could have achieved greatness, but lack the self-control to persevere. At the same time, it is filled with achievers who may have started with less talent, fewer resources, or bigger obstacles, but who disciplined their minds and actions until their dreams became reality. You must force discipline, not wait for it, because discipline does not come naturally, and it will never arrive on its own. Human nature gravitates toward comfort, ease, and instant gratification, not long-term growth and sacrifice. If you wait for the perfect moment to feel discipline, you will wait your entire life. Discipline is not a gift that falls into your lap. It is a choice you push yourself to make repeatedly until it becomes part of your character. Those who wait to feel motivated or inspired before taking action are often left behind, while those who demand discipline from themselves, even when they don't feel like it, move forward and eventually build momentum. Forcing discipline means taking control of your emotions instead of letting them control you. There will be days when you don't feel like working, studying, or training, but those are the days discipline matters most. Waiting for the right mood is dangerous because moods are temporary and unreliable. Success cannot be built on feelings, but it can be built on disciplined choices repeated over time. Every great athlete, entrepreneur, or leader you admire didn't rely on feelings to guide them. They forced themselves into routines and habits that pushed them closer to their goals, even when their emotions rebelled. Discipline requires pressure, and that pressure often has to come from within. You must be the one to demand more from yourself, to set higher standards, and to hold yourself accountable. Waiting for someone else to push you will only weaken you, because external pressure can only carry you so far. The strongest form of discipline is self-discipline, and self-discipline is built when you force yourself to do what is necessary long before anyone else tells you to. This is why people who rely solely on external accountability often quit when no one is watching, while those who force discipline on themselves succeed because they don't depend on outside validation to stay consistent. Another reason discipline must be forced is because resistance never disappears. Life will always present distractions, difficulties, and temptations. If you wait for these obstacles to disappear, you will never begin. Forcing discipline means acting in spite of the resistance, doing what must be done even when conditions are not ideal. It means training your mind to say, "I will," instead of "I'll try," to choose persistence over procrastination, and to stay consistent even in uncomfortable circumstances. Every time you force yourself to act, you weaken the power of excuses and strengthen the muscle of self-control. Waiting for discipline keeps people trapped in cycles of regret. They tell themselves they will start tomorrow, next week, or next year, but time keeps slipping away, and with it, their potential. Forcing discipline breaks that cycle because it demands immediate action. It does not negotiate with laziness or delay. It treats every moment as an opportunity to build habits that lead to success. People who force discipline into their lives may not always enjoy the process, but they always enjoy the results, because results are the fruit of consistency, not convenience. When you force discipline, you take charge of your destiny instead of leaving it to chance. Life rewards those who act, not those who wait. Dreams are never achieved through wishful thinking, but through disciplined effort. Forcing discipline means setting a standard for yourself that is higher than your excuses, higher than your fears, and higher than your comfort. It means pushing through resistance until what once felt impossible becomes routine. Those who live with this mindset are the ones who transform vision into reality because they refuse to wait for discipline. They demand it from themselves every single day. Winning inside precedes winning outside because every external achievement is first born as an internal victory. Before success can ever be manifested in the world, it must first be conquered in the private space of the mind and heart. A person who has not yet learned to overcome self, doubt, fear, laziness, and negative thinking will struggle to achieve lasting progress, no matter how many opportunities come their way. On the other hand, those who discipline their inner world, shaping their thoughts, controlling their emotions, and mastering their habits, naturally begin to see victories in the external world. The inner condition always dictates the outer reality. The challenges of life often tempt people to believe that success is about changing circumstances, controlling others, or waiting for luck. But true success is about mastering yourself before you attempt to master anything else. A person who wins on the inside carries an unshakable confidence that allows them to face storms without collapsing. They do not crumble under pressure because they have already practiced resilience in their thoughts. They do not get distracted by negativity because their mind has been trained to focus on solutions. External challenges cannot destroy someone who has already conquered the doubts and fears that live within. The truth is that the external world reflects the inner state. If your inner world is filled with chaos, your outer life will eventually reveal it. If your inner world is filled with order, discipline, and strength, your outer life will follow the same pattern. Winning inside means learning how to control your mind, how to guard your attitude, and how to respond to challenges with maturity. It means cultivating patience, resilience, and determination even when no one else sees the effort. Once these qualities are established internally, they naturally produce visible achievements that others will recognize as success. Many people chase external victories while neglecting their inner battles. They may achieve temporary progress, but it never lasts because an undisciplined inner life eventually sabotages external gains. Someone may build wealth but lack inner peace, and soon their stress consumes them. Someone may gain influence but fail to discipline their ego, and soon their pride brings them down. Winning outside without winning inside is like constructing a tall building on a weak foundation. It may look impressive for a time, but eventually it collapses under its own weight. Those who want true, lasting success must first build strength inside, because only then will their external victories be secure. Winning inside also precedes winning outside, because the inner victory shapes how you see challenges. Where others see impossibilities, the person who has already disciplined their mind sees opportunities. where others quit at the first sign of difficulty, the inner winner sees a reason to press forward. External victories do not come from a life free of problems. They come from a mindset that has already decided to endure and overcome. This is why two people can face the same obstacle, and one fails while the other succeeds. The difference is not in the obstacle, but in the inner condition of the person confronting it. The journey of success always begins with the unseen. Before the athlete wins the medal, they have won countless battles with themselves in practice. Before the entrepreneur builds a successful company, they have already overcome inner battles with fear, doubt, and procrastination. Before the leader inspires others, they have first inspired themselves to stay disciplined, focused, and committed. External victories are nothing more than the visible proof of invisible internal triumphs. Winning inside is the seed, and winning outside is the harvest. Your destiny rises to the level of your mental discipline because the direction of your life is determined by the quality of your thoughts and the consistency of your decisions. Destiny is not something that randomly happens. It is something that unfolds as a result of choices, and choices are shaped by the mind. A disciplined mind sets boundaries, creates focus, and chooses wisely even in difficult circumstances, while an undisciplined mind drifts, reacts, and wastes opportunities. This is why two people with the same background, education, or resources can end up with completely different outcomes. One may rise to greatness, while the other settles for mediocrity, and the difference is not chance, but discipline of thought. Mental discipline governs how you handle opportunities. Life presents chances to grow, to learn, and to advance. But without discipline, the mind will make excuses, procrastinate, or allow fear to interfere. With discipline, however, the mind seizes opportunities, commits to them, and follows through even when obstacles appear. This consistency of thought and action slowly shapes the path of destiny, lifting a person toward higher levels of achievement. Dreams and visions may define potential, but discipline decides whether that potential ever becomes reality. Another reason destiny is tied to mental discipline is because life is filled with distractions that constantly compete for attention. Without discipline, the mind is easily diverted by temporary pleasures, unhealthy relationships, or meaningless pursuits. And as a result, time is wasted and purpose is delayed. A disciplined mind has the power to say no to distractions in order to say yes to destiny. It knows how to filter what deserves energy and what must be ignored. The more disciplined the mind, the clearer the focus, and the clearer the focus, the greater the progress toward destiny. Mental discipline also defines how a person responds to adversity. Challenges are inevitable, but they either break you or build you depending on the condition of your mind. If the mind is undisciplined, adversity leads to panic, discouragement, and quitting. If the mind is disciplined, adversity becomes a teacher, producing patience, resilience, and wisdom. Every time a disciplined mind overcomes difficulty, it climbs to a higher level of maturity and strength, which prepares it for a greater destiny. Your destiny does not rise simply because life becomes easier. It rises because your disciplined mind becomes stronger. In addition, mental discipline regulates emotions, and emotions play a major role in shaping destiny. An undisciplined mind allows anger, fear, jealousy, or insecurity to dictate decisions, and those emotional choices often lead to regret. A disciplined mind learns how to pause, reflect, and respond with wisdom instead of reacting impulsively. The more disciplined you become in managing emotions, the more stable and purposeful your life path becomes. Over time, these wise and controlled responses shape a destiny marked by peace, influence, and lasting success. Your destiny will always align with the level of discipline you maintain in your thinking, because destiny is not an accident, but a harvest. Thoughts become words, words become actions, actions become habits, and habits build character. Character determines the legacy you leave and the impact you create. If your thoughts are disciplined, your character will be strong, and your destiny will reflect greatness. If your thoughts are careless, your character will be weak, and your destiny will reflect wasted potential. The height of your future will never rise beyond the boundaries of your mental discipline.